Doc, I have to ask you to begin with a negative. What's the chance we don't see spikes in all the big cities where these big mass gatherings have taken place day and night for days on end? And if we don't see spikes, are you going to declare it safe for all of us to go back outside?
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me, Brian. We're undergoing right now a very unfortunate experiment. That's what's happened this past week with all the crowds that we've seen, the protests and so forth. And we don't know what that's going to do. The good news is that it was outdoors largely. And that we've seen typically is the virus actually just floats into the air, doesn't become a problem. And so from that standpoint, the risk was lower. On the other hand, we had people who were experienced tear gas, smoke, and yelling, all things that would either cause coughing or projectile of the virus out of one's throat by yelling. And so that could enhance transmission. And then, of course, we had the people who were detained by law enforcement, were put into buses, booked at local jails, and held in jail cells, which also could enhance it. So you got some things that say it could be a problem, some that said it might not be. We're going to have to find out in 10 days to 14 days what really happened.
And I was actually thinking of you at the height of this. Here you are, a disease specialist and a frequent guest on this and other networks, in the middle of the Twin Cities, in the epicenter of the violence, night after night. Talk about the tug of war between social justice and social distancing, because so many of the protesters will tell you this to them is as existential a threat to them as any COVID-19 you can bring on.
Well, I think we all recognize we're in a period of our history right now that will be written in a way just as we read the 1918 pandemic. Again, I come back and remind people that 85 days ago, COVID-19 was not even in the top 50 causes of death in this country. And many days last month, it was the #1 cause of death in this country. We haven't seen that since 1918. We also have had economic disruptions to the point of where we haven't seen it since the Great Depression. And now we have the riots associated with race issues that we haven't seen since the 1960s. When you put this all together, it's a very dangerous mix. And we are very concerned about the social interactions that would enhance the transmission of the COVID virus. And again, as I pointed out, we're in a very unfortunate experiment right now, how all this mixing, after having come off of the distancing, will actually play in terms of virus transmission.
And you can look at the chart on a city like New York and see that people really did get the job done. They followed instructions. They flattened the curve. And of course, New York City, among the leading places where we have people in the streets as recently as tonight. You have never failed to try to illustrate where you think we are in this virus, which you've pointed out time and time again, does not respect boredom. It doesn't care about our plans. It's predatory. So where do you think, and of course I'm asking with an eye toward a possible second wave, where do you think we are in this virus?
Well, thank you for that setup. It was well done. Let me just say that I've said for over a month and a half to 2 months, we're still in the second inning of a 9-inning game, and I'm getting people saying, boy, that's a long inning. What I'm waiting for is to see if we do, in fact, have a first wave, meaning about 3 months worth of cases around the world, and then it starts to tail off regardless of what we do. And that would indicate that this is acting much more like an influenza virus pandemic than in a coronavirus, which we don't know. We've never had one before, so we don't know how that acts. If that happens, the virus goes away, I will see many claiming victory that we won, and it's the worst possible situation I could imagine. No one wants anyone to get sick, particularly seriously ill or die. But if we see a real big reduction in cases, I can almost promise you we will see a very substantial second wave either later in the summer or in the fall. We don't know that yet. We're still all waiting to see what this virus is going to do. But as I've said on this show before, don't forget for one moment, we are not driving this tiger. We are riding it. And that is, we have a long ways to go yet.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.